do when you're angry and upset and pissed off. It's just fight whoever the fuck.
Sure, this is the equivalent of angry white boy Kyle punching a hole in the wall.
But also, that's not
toxic masculinity.
I get it because he's a man, but that is also not exclusive to masculinity.
No, you know 100%.
What I mean? And that's what I'm saying. It's
my critique of that is also like in the same way that I critique Will for that kind of like response that puts him in that category for me. I also critique the women that have been like, that's what a man's supposed to do. Like, because that's also been another pocket of women that are like, that was hot. That was set. I watched the podcast today where immediately was like, man, he turned around. He fixed his jacket. Sexiest man alive. Like he just went over there, defended his wife and this and that. And to your point, have you never seen men that are so secure that they're like, I don't have to deal with, it's all right. We're good.
But here's the thing. I do think also that there's...
no, baby. Because
I knew you were going to say something.
Yeah, of course I'm going to say something. I would have never. I'd be like, first of all, fool, sit the fuck down. You don't got to be answering for me. The fuck you think you are. If I got a problem with it, I'm going to go up and slap his ass myself. I'm not about to let you go up there and make a fool of yourself because you just did.
For me.
For me. Sure.
But there is a lot of women. There is a lot of women online. And I've been looking, like I said, the most fascinating thing for me about this has been all the pockets of people that have shown up in a certain kind of like mentality, and there's a pocket of women that are like that is what a man is supposed to do. Let a man do that for me. I'm yours. And that is wild.
I don't think that's that wild, and not because I agree with it. Like,
sure,
but I don't think that's that crazy. I think it requires more context. And again, I think I understand having, because same thing. If I was with somebody and they stood up and they were trying to, I would be like, "What are you doing? This is Sit down. Please, you're embarrassing me." But we are not
again,
5.
Contextually speaking,
I also understand how some women are attracted to being like, oh, you're not going to talk about my wife like that because that's going to be the last fucking time that she's like, you have her name in your fucking mouth. And I'm going to make sure of that.
Yeah.
Because probably words were not going to do much. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not saying, but I understand the context from which some people are maybe like agreeing in some way.
Some people find that chivalrous.
Sure.
Some people might find that chivalrous. I feel like especially
especially from Will Smith, because Will Smith is a very composed person, he wouldn't normally do that. It's kind of like, he did it once. He's not going to do it again, but he did it that one time. And that one time was enough for me.
Yeah, and I get it. I get the idea of even as a secure person, right? Like this coming from a room of people that are pretty fairly secure. All of us had that same reaction. 3 women in this room that are like, sit down. Bro, like don't be making a fool out of us right now.
But
right?
also, I would be like, nice try though. Yeah, good on you for trying. Yeah, don't do it.
Right.
But you should at least attempt.
But to that point, there is a lot of people a lot of women and men in that pocket that said like, that's what you're supposed to do for your woman.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to do.
I feel like that has to do with context, with like a social context and a cultural context.
I mean, if you do that, everything has to do with context. But just that kind of gesture, just that like a kind of absolute in the ether, it's like that does fall, to me at least, fall under the toxic masculinity trait. And
I do think so.
And you do have to be emotionally mature enough to say like, okay, that being said, I completely understand how Will Smith might be at a mental breaking point and an emotional breaking point, that he, psychologically speaking, reacted out of emotion impulsively and and at that moment was on autopilot.
Because also,
I get that.
Right after he gives like his acceptance speech and he's like emotional and crying.
Well, he's always been an emotional person.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like, it's like he went through a lot of emotions in a very short period of time. Even for an emotional person, which is what that person talking about it and, talking about the fucking nervous system and whatever. She was also saying like, you see him then like kind of come back down to like this world and like the context that he's in and kind of realize like, holy shit, like that's what I did, and have this very emotional response. Yeah. Which again is just like, this man is going through a fucking lot.
I agree. And I am not going to subscribe myself to the idea that he's going through a lot because he's whipped. I am not going to subscribe myself to the idea that he's going a lot because Hollywood's not calling anymore. I'm not going to subscribe to it. That was another thing. Like, they've been struggling
Will
because
Smith
Hollywood
is fine. Like, y'all gotta relax. You need to stop making up shit.
Will Smith is fine. He's like one of the people creating the new Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
He's an executive producer.
Right, so like
he's fine.
Yeah, he might not be like on the show, but yeah.
So
he is
I'm not gonna subscribe myself to an individual pillar of thought where people are like, oh, this is why he's breaking down. I subscribe to the idea that maybe it's everything cumulatively speaking, right? I don't care if their relationship is falling apart. That is between them, and they get to figure that out. But I can totally understand how somebody in the limelight can feel that amount of heaviness on their shoulders because that is public. And not only is it public, it is a different kind of public. The way that they fell into or grew into stardom has been a very calculated, very almost presidential, the way like I'm going to attach myself to this kind of woman. We're going to create the image of our relationship. We're going to create you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then as media and like the way that people become famous and the transparency between celebrity now has been blurred, they've had a tougher time because their privacy has a lot of unconventional things. And that disrupts the image that they were trying to portray. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's the image they were trying to portray, though.
I think so.
As much as it was the image that people had of them, because that is not the same thing.
Okay, maybe people had the image and then they wanted to keep the image, regardless.
Because think about it, like even now, like they have talked about their open relationship for years. They have talked about like they were open about it. They had Red Table Talk, and people still like to talk about Jada cheated on Will Smith.
Well, I think
is like, just because y'all don't get it doesn't mean it doesn't.
I don't think she cheated on him, but I definitely do think she made him look like an idiot.
But she didn't. Like, he literally went on some interview. I don't remember if it was Good Morning America or whatever. And the reporter was like, you know, like, you've gone through this, you've gone through this, you've gone through infidelity. And he was like, there has never been and this was like 2019, I think. Yeah. Like recent. He was like, there has never been infidelity in our marriage. Ever.
Right, because infidelity means lies. Infidelity means deception.
Yeah. It means cheating. Yeah. And if they had an understanding of what the boundaries of their relationship were, and she didn't cross those, then she didn't cross those. Right. And I think the argument is just people not understanding that. Yes. But that's a y'all's issue. Yeah, stop 100%. Making it a them issue.
100%. The only thing that might be their issue, though, and this is, of course, speculative.
Even to say that, like, she made him look dumb for what?
Well, I don't know for what, but the internet, in that entanglement situation, she doesn't look bad. She
looks bad. Everybody shits on Jada Pinkett Smith because of that.
People everyone. Also shit on Jada Pinkett.
And that's where people are like, oh, Will Smith is like,
you don't think he's the butt of that joke?
I think Jada is like the villain of the joke, and he's the butt of the joke. But she's like the perpetrator.
That's a good way to put it.
Which goes to show, like, y'all don't know how to look at things. But that's what I'm saying.
Critically. The villain is making this person, because I can guarantee you,
she's not making him look dumb. And I think that's that's the important. Like, you're saying she made him look dumb. She didn't make him look dumb. The internet thinks he's dumb because they don't understand the nature of the relationship.
Fair point.
That's the internet. That's not her.
Here's, in terms of that open relationship, back, to backtrack and to take away from, to kind of go back in time a little bit. I'm sure Will has been with tons of women if they're in an open marriage, right? Sure. I'm sure he's been with his fair share of something. But in that rule book, in that conversation, I'm sure if one of Will's side pieces went public the way August did and had put everything, I'm sure Jada would have been like, you were supposed to keep that shit on lock. That shit was not supposed to happen. Fix it.
And that was their conversation, too.
No, their conversation was, no, now we're gonna sit down and we're gonna make it public instead of just put, like, rub it on the rug. And now he in that conversation, I think we mentioned this one time in passing on the podcast, where I said, you can see it in his eyes that he's not saying what he would actually say behind closed doors, despite the fact that they're being transparent.
Yeah, I don't
because
think that's true.
even a year before, in terms of receipts, a year before on Red Table Talk, talking to her mom or whoever is in normally, Jada says, we're not in an open relationship. We're not in an open marriage. Flat out says it. That's why when August came out, it was all like, wait, are you or are you not? What image are you portraying right now? Because you go on one thing and you say
August
this
problem. Like he had no business going and talking about their relationship. And do I think? But again, like I'm not blaming Jada Pinkett Smith for that. I'm blaming him. He was the one that went and opened his mouth.
100%. But they could have collectively been like
he's lying.
Yo, August is bugging.
But
August is bugging. We don't know what's going on with him.
Do you think it was wrong of them to be like honest about it?
No. I don't think it was wrong of them, but Will ends up being the butt of that joke. She's the villain, of course, but he ends up being the butt of that joke. So as a man, I understand how after that whole everything transpires, I might be like, yo, I'm getting roasted on for this shit. And I know I didn't do anything wrong, but fuck me, this is heavy.
I agree.